snow rested on the mountain like a quiet promise. The trees stood still, tall and dark, and the wind moved through them with a low sound that never stopped. Kang Jisoo lived where that sound was loudest. His cabin sat alone on a narrow shelf of rock, far from roads and towns. He chose this place because it asked nothing from him. It did not judge him. It did not speak. It only existed. Jisoo woke before sunrise, as he always did. He washed his face with cold water, tied his boots, and checked the small radio on the table. It worked, but no one spoke to him through it. That was fine. He stepped outside with a pack on his back and a tool case in his hand. The air was sharp and clean. He breathed it in and felt steady. He spent his days repairing old weather stations and relay towers left from earlier years. The work was simple. Walk, climb, fix, return. It kept his hands busy and his mind quiet. On this morning, he noticed something odd near the cabin door. The snow there was not smooth. A line ran through it, light and shallow, as if something had been dragged. Jisoo stopped and looked closer. The mark was fresh. It was not made by an animal he knew. It was too straight. He followed it with his eyes until it faded near the trees. He felt a small tension in his chest. He had lived here long enough to know every sound and sign. This was new. He told himself it was nothing. Wind could do strange things. He walked away and began his climb. All day, the thoughts stayed with him. When he returned at dusk, the cabin stood as it always had, but something felt wrong. The door was closed, yet the latch was not set the way he left it. Inside, the air felt colder. Jisoo set down his pack and looked around. Nothing was broken. Nothing was missing. Then he saw the shelf near the stove. One of the food cans had been moved. Just a little. Enough that he noticed Dot. He stood still and listened. The cabin was silent. The mountain outside was silent. He did not reach for a weapon. He had none nearby. Instead, he spoke, his voice low and calm. "If someone is here," he said, "I do not want trouble." No answer came. He waited, then opened the can and placed it on the table. He added a small loaf of bread and a bottle of water. He stepped back and sat on his bed, hands open. "I will leave this here," he said. "I will go outside for a while." He left the cabin and walked a short distance into the trees. The cold bit at his face, but he stayed. When he returned later, the food was gone. The next days followed the same pattern. Small signs appeared, footprints that vanished too quickly. Tools moved and returned. Food taken, never wasted. Jisoo did not speak of it to anyone. He simply brought more supplies. He left them in the open. He spoke softly, even when alone. On the 5th night, he returned early. The sky was dark, but the moon gave enough light. As he came around the side of the cabin, he saw movement. A shape pulled back, fast and careful. He froze. A woman stood behind the woodpile. She was thin and pale, her hair dark against the snow. Her eyes were wide, reflecting light in a way that felt wrong. She wore clothing that did not match the place or time. It was torn and strange. She did not run. She hid her face with her hands. Jisoo raised his palms. He took a slow step back. "It is okay," he said. "I am not here to hurt you." The woman did not answer. She shook slightly, as if cold or afraid or both. Jisoo spoke again, keeping his voice even. "This is my home. You can stay for now. I will not come closer." He set down his pack and removed his coat. He placed it on the ground between them. Then he stepped away and sat on a rock. Minutes passed. The wind moved. The woman slowly reached for the coat. Her hands were not quite right. The fingers bent at odd angles before adjusting. She pulled the coat around herself and looked up. Their eyes met. Jisoo felt a strange pull in his chest. Not fear, not anger. Something else. She made a sound, soft and unsure. Not a word he knew. My name is Kang Jisoo, he said. You can call me Jisoo. She listened closely, her head tilting as if recording every sound. Then she touched her chest. Era, she said. Han Era. Her voice was quiet but clear. Jisoo nodded. Era, he repeated. She took a step back toward the trees, then stopped. Her breathing was fast. Jisoo saw dark marks on her arm, just under the torn sleeve. They looked like burns, but not from fire. You are hurt, he said. Era flinched at the word, but did not move away. She looked at the cabin, then at him. Her eyes held a question. You can come inside, Jisoo said. It is warm. She hesitated. Then she shook her head and backed away into the shadow of the trees. In seconds, she was gone. That night, Jisoo did not sleep. He kept the fire low and the door unlocked. He placed clean water and food near the stove. He sat and waited. Near dawn, he heard the soft sound of feet on wood. Era stood in the doorway, her outline thin against the gray light. She looked ready to flee. You are safe here, Jisoo said. She stepped inside. The door closed behind her. The mountain watched in silence as two worlds met in a small wooden room. Morning light entered the cabin through the small window. It touched the wooden floor and the table and the quiet shapes inside. Era stood near the wall, her back close to it, as if she might pass through if she tried. Jisoo sat on a chair with his hands resting on his knees. He did not move fast. He did not speak right away. The fire gave a low crackle. Steam rose from a pot of water. The room smelled of wood and metal and bread. Era watched everything. Her eyes moved from the ceiling to the stove to the door. She listened to sounds beyond the walls. Her breathing was quick, then slow, then quick again. Jisoo waited until her shoulders dropped a little. You can sit, he said. She did not understand at first. He pointed to the chair across from him. He sat back again to show her. After a long pause, Ira took a step. Then another. She did not sit. She crouched beside the chair instead, ready to move. That is fine, Jisoo said. He poured water into a cup and placed it on the table, then pushed it toward her with 2 fingers. He leaned back. Era sniffed the air, then touched the cup with care. She drank a small amount. Her eyes widened. She drank more. Jisoo smiled without showing his teeth. You are hurt, he said, pointing to his arm. Era looked down at the dark marks on her skin. She pulled the sleeve back. The marks shifted in color, deep and uneven. They did not bleed. They hummed faintly, like a distant wire. Not weapon, she said slowly. Her words came heavy, as if shaped with effort. Broken. Broken, Jisoo repeated. She nodded once. Then she touched her chest. Her fingers pressed lightly, as if checking something inside. Ship broken, she said. Jisoo felt the weight of the words. He kept his face calm. You came from the sky, he said. Era looked at him sharply. For a moment, fear returned. Then she nodded again. Hide, she said. Here. He nodded. He stood and went to a small cabinet. He took out clean cloth and a simple medical kit. He placed them on the table and stepped back. May I help? He asked. Era watched him. Time passed. Then she held out her arm. Jisoo worked slowly. He cleaned the skin. The marks reacted to the cloth, then settled. Era did not pull away. Her eyes stayed on his hands, careful and curious. When he finished, she touched the cloth and made a small sound of relief. Thank you. She said. You are welcome. The day moved on. Era stayed inside, always near the door. Jisoo cooked simple food and shared it. She ate with care, learning the shape and weight of things. Sometimes she paused and listened to sounds far away that Jisoo could not hear. When the sun began to lower, she stiffened. Her head turned to the sky. "They look," she said. "Who?" Jisoo asked. Era did not answer right away. She walked to the window and pulled the curtain a little. She looked up at the clouds. "Hunters," she said. "Not yet. Soon." Jisoo felt a tightness in his chest. He thought of the mountain, the quiet paths, the narrow trails only he knew. "You can stay," he said. "I know this place." Era turned to him. Her eyes held doubt. "Then something softer, Human small," she said. "Galaxy big." He nodded. "Yes," he said. "But we learn." That night, Era did not sleep. She sat near the window. Jisoo rested on the bed, awake. The wind moved through the trees. Hours passed. Near midnight, a faint light crossed the sky. It was fast and thin. Era pressed her hand to the glass. "Scout," she whispered. Jisoo rose and put on his coat. He took a map from the wall and spread it on the table. He pointed to lines and marks. "Caves," he said. "Old tunnels." "Hard to see." Era studied the map. Her eyes moved quickly. "Cold hide signal," she said. "Good," Jisoo said. They left before dawn. Snow covered their tracks. Jisoo led them through narrow paths and over rock. Era moved lightly, learning his steps. Once she slipped. Jisoo caught her arm. She froze, then relaxed. The cave mouth was hidden by stone and ice. Inside, the air was still. Jisoo lit a small lamp and set it low. Era touched the walls. Her marks glowed faintly, then dimmed. "Safe," she said. They waited. Above them, the mountain stood quiet. Hours later, a low sound passed through the ground. Era closed her eyes. "They search," she said. Nothing happened. The sound faded. Era opened her eyes. She looked at Jisoo for a long time. "Why help?" she asked. Jisoo thought of many answers. He chose a simple one. "Because you needed it," he said. Era nodded. She sat beside him. The cave felt warmer. When they returned to the cabin, the sky was clear. Jisoo made soup. Era watched and asked simple words. He answered. She learned fast. She smiled once, small and quick, as if surprised by it. That evening, she stood at the door and looked out at the mountain. "This world quiet." She said. "Yes," Jisoo said. She looked at him, strong. She added. He did not understand then. But the mountain listened, and the quiet held. The mountain felt different the next morning. Jisoo noticed it as soon as he stepped outside. The air carried a faint pressure, like a storm that had not yet shown itself. The birds were quiet. Even the wind moved with care. Era stood near the cabin wall, her head tilted toward the sky. Her eyes were focused on something far above the clouds. Her hands were clenched, then relaxed, then clenched again. "They are closer," she said. Jisoo nodded. He did not ask how she knew. He trusted her sense now. He gathered his gear and checked the traps he used for wild animals. He adjusted them, not to harm, but to slow and confuse. Ropes were moved. Paths were changed. Snow was brushed away, then piled where it did not belong. Era watched him work. "You prepare without machines," she said. "Machines break," Jisoo said. "Hands do not." She considered this. Her marks pulsed once, then settled. She looked toward the tree line. "They think humans weak," she said. Slow, loud, he smiled a little. "They have not met us here," he said. By midday, the sound came. It was low and steady, like distant thunder that did not fade. Era moved closer to Jisoo. "3 scouts," she said. "Watching." Jisoo led her uphill, away from the cabin. They moved through trees and over rock, following paths only someone who lived there would know. He stopped often, listening. Once, a shadow passed across the snow without sound. Era froze. Above, a shape hovered. It bent light around itself, making the air look wrong. A thin beam swept the ground. Jisoo pulled Era behind a ridge and pressed her low. The beam passed over them and moved on. Scans heat. Era whispered. Jisoo slowly opened his pack and took out a small metal plate. He pushed it into the snow a short distance away and poured warm water over it. Steam rose. The beam returned and locked onto the spot. A sharp sound followed. The ground burned where the plate had been. Jisoo and Era stayed still. They miss us, Jisoo said. Era looked at him with wide eyes. You tricked them, she said. Yes. He said. They moved again. Higher, colder. The scouts followed false signs. Drawn by heat and movement, Jisoo, created with care. By the time the sun began to fall, the sound faded. But Era did not relax. Main force will come, she said. They do not like failure. Jisoo led them back to the cabin by a longer path. Inside, he closed the shutters and dimmed the fire. He turned on the old radio, filling the air with soft noise. Why noise? Era asked. To hide silence, he said. That night, the sky lit up. A thin line of light cut across the clouds. Then another. Era pressed her hands to her head. They scan wide now, she said. Many eyes. Jisoo moved fast. He packed supplies and handed Era warm clothing. He drew a simple plan in the dirt on the table. If they land, we go here, he said, pointing to a deep valley. Metal walls. Old mines. Era touched the drawing. Your world leaves scars, she said. We use them, Jisoo replied. The ground shook. Not hard, but enough. Outside, something burned the snow without flame. Shapes moved between the trees. Tall, thin, wrong. Era saw them and went still. Hunters. She said. Jisoo opened the back door and led her out. They moved through darkness and cold. A sound followed them, sharp and searching. A beam cut past Jisoo's shoulder and struck a tree. The tree split and fell. Era stumbled. Jisoo grabbed her hand and pulled her up. They ran. Behind them. The hunters spoke. Their voices were flat and heavy, like metal scraping stone. Era flinched. They say you're bait, she said. That I will come for you. Jisoo did not slow. Then they are wrong, he said. They reached the mine entrance just as light flooded the valley. Jisoo pushed Era inside and triggered a small charge. The entrance collapsed behind them, sealing the gap with rock and snow. Inside, the air was dark and cold. Era leaned against the wall, breathing hard. You trapped yourself, she said. No, Jisoo said. I bought time. The hunters attacked the rock. Their tools burned and cut, but the mountain held. Jisoo led Era deeper, through narrow paths and old rails. They reached a chamber where the stone was thick. The sounds outside grew weaker. They will mark this place dangerous, Era said slowly. Humans resist. Humans adapt. Jisoo sat on the ground. He was tired, but steady. That is how we live, he said. Era looked at him for a long time. Her fear softened into something new. Respect. When the sounds finally stopped, the mountain returned to silence. Above them, the hunters withdrew, carrying a report they did not understand. In the dark, Era spoke softly. They will tell others, she said, about this world. Jisoo nodded. And let them listen. He said. The mountain listened too. The mountain did not forget what had happened. Even after the hunters left, the air felt tense, as if the stone itself was alert. Jisoo and Era remained inside the mine until the light outside faded and the ground settled into silence again. Only then did Jesu move. He checked the rock wall and listened with his ear pressed to the cold stone. Nothing moved. No sound returned. The hunters were gone, at least for now. Era sat on a low rock, her arms wrapped around herself. Her breathing was slow, but her eyes were sharp. She looked at Jesu as he worked. "They will come back stronger," she said. "With more force." Jesu nodded. "He did not deny it, Dot. Then we prepare better," he said. They left the mine before dawn. The valley outside showed signs of the attack. Trees were cut clean in half. Snow was burned into dark glass. The cabin still stood, but its walls were marked by heat. Era stopped when she saw it. Her face tightened. "They know this place," she said. "Yes," Jesu replied. "And now they know me too." He walked inside the cabin and began to work. He repaired what he could and removed what he could not hide. Metal objects were buried deep in snow and stone. Tools were spread across false locations. He moved like someone who had planned for loss before. Era followed him. "You do not panic," she said. He shook his head. "Panic wastes time." He said, "By midday." New sounds filled the sky. Not hunters this time. Human machines. A helicopter passed far away. Then another. Era froze. More hunters. She whispered. Jesu placed a hand between her shoulders. "No," he said. "My people." Soon after, Li Doyan arrived on foot, carrying heavy gear and wearing an old uniform. His face showed surprise when he saw the damage around the cabin. "What happened here?" he asked. Jesu looked at Era. She stood very still, watching Doyan closely. "Something not from here," Jesu said. Doyan followed his gaze. His hand moved slowly, not threatening. "She one of them?" he asked quietly. Era met his eyes. She did not hide. "Yes," she said. Doyan let out a long breath. "Figures," he said. "Trouble always finds you." Jesu explained only what was needed. Doyan listened without interrupting. When Jesu finished, Doyan nodded. "They came thinking we were nothing," he said. "That is their mistake." More humans arrived. Park Nari came with sensors and maps. Others followed. They did not shout or panic. They worked. Era watched in silence. "No leader," she said. But all moved together. Jesu smiled. "We lead when needed," he said, "and follow when needed." That night, the sky darkened in a way that was not natural. A large shape blocked the stars. Era stiffened. "Main force," she said. "They will demand surrender." A voice echoed through the valley. It was flat and cold. It spoke through machines that bent sound. "This world is not protected," the voice said. "Release the asset." Humans did not answer with words. They answered with movement. Lights went dark. Heat sources vanished. Signals scattered. Old machines came alive. New ones stayed silent. The alien force descended. Beams cut the ground. Humans moved through smoke and snow, using shadows and terrain. Doyan led teams through paths Jesu had marked. Nari fed false data into open air. Era stood beside Jesu, watching it all. They adapt faster than predicted. She said, "That we always do." Jesu replied. A landing craft touched the ground. Figures emerged, tall and armored. They expected fear. They found resistance. Simple tools became traps. Old mines became shields. The mountain itself turned against the invaders. Era saw humans fall and rise again. She saw them pull each other from danger without orders. She saw pain ignored and duty chosen. "This is why you survive," she said softly. A blast struck near Jesu. He fell, stunned. Era moved without thinking. Her marks flared bright as she stood over him. The air bent. The blast turned away. The hunters froze. Asset displays loyalty. one said. Era looked down at Jisu. Then she looked at the sky. I choose, she said. The mountain shook as humans pushed forward. The alien force began to retreat. Their machines pulled back, damaged and confused. Silence returned slowly. Smoke cleared. Stars returned to view. Era stood among humans who stared at her, uncertain but calm. Jisu rose and placed a hand on her shoulder. You are safe, he said. She nodded. And you are strong, she replied. Far above, alien ships withdrew, carrying a warning they had not expected. This world did not bend. It pushed back. The mountain healed slowly. Snow fell again and covered the scars left by fire and light. Broken trees lay where they had fallen, and humans worked together to clear paths and rebuild what was damaged. The cabin still stood. Its walls were repaired, its roof made strong again. Smoke rose from its chimney like it always had. Era stood outside and watched the work. Humans moved without fear now. They spoke calmly and laughed at small things. They shared food and tools. They did not look at the sky every moment. They trusted it to stay quiet. Jisu helped where he was needed, then stepped back. He had always lived quietly. Now others knew his mountain. He did not mind. The mountain was still wide enough for silence. Era walked beside him. They left, she said. Far. Yes, Jisu replied. They sat on a fallen log and looked out over the valley. The air was clean again. No strange pressure pressed against the skin. No hidden sound moved through stone. They will speak of this place, Era said. Of humans. He nodded. What will they say? He asked. Era thought for a long time. That you are small, she said, and dangerous in quiet ways. Jisu smiled. That sounds like us. At night, the humans left one by one. The mountain returned to its old rhythm. Jisu and Era remained. The cabin felt different now. Not empty, not crowded. Balanced. Era learned quickly. She learned how to cook simple meals and how to fix broken boards. She learned the names of trees and animals. She learned why humans told stories even when nothing was wrong. Jisu learned too. He learned how Era saw the stars as paths instead of lights. He learned how her people measured time by change, not numbers. He learned that she had been a protector once, not a soldier, not a ruler. Someone who kept others safe while hiding in plain sight. One evening, Era stood very still near the door. Something changed, she said. Jisu felt it too. Not danger, attention. A message arrived the next day, not with fire or noise, but with light that rested softly on the mountain peak. Era watched it without fear. They are watching from far away, she said. No weapons. Jisu nodded. They learned, he said. The light faded. The sky remained blue. Days passed. Weeks. The cabin became a home for two worlds. Era no longer hid when she saw Jisu. She no longer flinched at human voices. She walked freely under the open sky. One morning, she placed a small device on the table. It was smooth and dark. My signal, she said. Broken before. Now fixed. Jisu looked at it. What happens if you use it? He asked. They will know where I am, she said. And that I chose this place. He did not speak for a moment. And what do you want? He asked. Era looked at the window, at the trees, at the snow melting into water. I want to stay, she said. Jisu nodded. Then stay. She pressed the device. No sound followed. Only a soft warmth in the air. Far away, in places humans did not yet reach. Signals were received and read. Do not approach this world without care. Humans resist. Humans protect. Humans adapt. On Earth. The mountain remained quiet. Era stood outside at night and looked at the stars. Jisu joined her. Neither spoke. The universe had noticed a small cabin on a cold mountain. It had expected fear and found something else Dot the mountain did not boast. The humans did not shout Dot, they simply lived, and that was enough.